Hey everybody, we're going to go over how to choose the right hiking boots for you in 5 minutes or less. This is after testing over 50 models of hiking boots so you can save your time and money. We have 5 principles to go over. The first one is price. Prices for hiking boots vary by a lot. Some are under $100. However, those are for more lighter trails. Usually people are only going on a hike at least once or twice a month. It's more of a small hobby for them. They're not doing it often. The real sweet spot is between $130 and $180. That's where most hiking boots are, and that's where you find the most premium ones that will last you long enough as well. Anything over $200 is usually considered for backpacking, special terrain, or something you're really going to want to last a long time, or if they have really premium comfort like the Hokas. Now that we've gone over price, the next thing to consider is the terrain you're up against most of the time. So if you're mainly planning on going on flat terrain without any inclines or sharp rocks or anything of that sort, you can get away with using a low-cut hiking boot or a trail runner like this. Usually those are cheaper and they'll save you more money in the long term. However, if you're going to go on any sort of hiking with an incline or somewhere where you need to hold an edge or uneven terrain, you really want to get a mid-hiking boot. This usually helps with ankle stability and will help prevent any sprains of your ankle and will just give you overall better foot stability on the trail. The last thing to consider for terrain is either if you're going to be in wet or snowy conditions, you want a Gore-Tex membrane, which is a waterproof membrane, as well as really grippy outsoles. And we'll go over that in a second. So now that you're covered for price and terrain, the next thing is support, stability, and cushion. Most of the time, you don't want over cushy soles. So a lot of squishy midsoles will collapse under a heavy load, or after time, they'll start to flatten out and they become less effective. So most hiking boots, you'll find a happy medium between being firm and having a nice cushy midsole. A better structured midsole is better for longer term hikes because they'll give you better stability and control. So arch support really matters when it comes to hiking boots. If you happen to have flat feet or you're going to be going on long miles, you have added weight like a backpack, the arch support is very key in a hiking boot. You really want the extra support near your midfoot. You want to check the torsional stability of the hiking boot, meaning moving it back and forth like this. So if you have really good torsional stability, that means the boot is less pliable and it won't conform to the surface you're on. You actually don't want it to conform the surface you're on because then you'll start to lose grip. The next thing for stability and support is a heel counter. So you want to check how stiff the heel is here in the back. And what that does is it locks your heel down in place, especially when you're up against rough terrain, and it doesn't allow for any internal movement of your foot while in the boot. What that does is it prevents slipping and adds to that stability and support while on the trail. Another thing to consider is a rock plate. These are more typical on trail runners. Basically, what it is it does not allow for anything sharp to pierce through the boot or the shoe while you're hiking, which you can encounter when you're in more jagged conditions. And shanks are stiff inserts within the boot, like here in the Lola Renegade. Again, helps prevent that twisting motion and gives you a more stable boot. Basically, when you think of stability, you want something that's going to keep your foot nice and secure while in the boot without any movement inside the boot. So now that we have price, stability, support, cushion, and the terrain you'll be up against, we have to talk about breathable versus non-breathable hiking boots. What do I mean by that? A lot of hiking boots have a Gore-Tex membrane, which is a waterproof bootie inside the boot. However, that usually reduces the breathability of the hiking boot and they're heavier. Most weekend hikers actually don't need the waterproofness in their boots. They're actually more expensive as well. One thing I like to tell people is hiking boots that get wet in a nice dry climate definitely dry off quicker than something that's waterproof and you have sweaty feet because they're not breathable. So our last principle is durability. Usually the durability is based on the outsole and what the upper is made of. So most leather uppers tend to be more durable than synthetic materials. And one thing you want to look at is the stitching zones within the boot here. If you have more stitching zones, those are more areas for stress risers. And that basically breaks down the boot quicker than something that has less stitching zones. A synthetic material boot will look something like this, and these are usually more breathable and lighter. However, they don't last as long. Again, take a look at the stitching zones on the boot when you're considering that. And other hiking boots can have welded overlays. Now, this is a trail runner, but some hiking shoes will look exactly like this. These are welded overlays. They're even lighter than synthetic materials. However, they rip apart very easily and the durability is not as good as something as leather. So those are our 5 principles. You want to consider price, terrain you're up against, the cushioning and stability and support, waterproofing versus non-waterproofing, and the durability. I've tested over 50 hiking shoes and I've had them delaminate on me, break down, and they just haven't lived up to the hype. Basically, I had overhyped gear that didn't deliver. That's why I created this channel, so you don't have to learn the hard way. If you're interested in more, check out our videos down below of our reviews of hiking boots. Also, don't forget to visit mountaineerjourney.com for all of our ratings of hiking boots and trail runners, as well as our guides. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks again.